really do. You're a 21-year-old punk fucking kid. Grandpa's given you everything all your fucking life. You've never had a car payment, a house payment. Everything you live in was given to you by Grandpa. You fucking don't know what it's like to work for a fucking living like I do, to bust my fucking ass and do what I do. And you know what, Sean? You fucked me, and that's the way you got it. But you know what? Your grandpa's money will run out someday, and you'll have to feast for yourself. Get a fucking job, you piece of shit.
Welcome to Behind the Smoke Podcast, Barbecue War Stories. My name is Sean Walchef with Cali Comfort Barbecue, and we are recording live in Spring Valley above the butcher shop with my man Derek Marceau from Valley Farm Market. It's holiday time, and we got a special holiday episode for you guys.
Yeah, it's exciting, man. It's kind of chilly today. Kind of getting into the weather of the winter, so you know it's bringing. You know, if you drive down my street in Hamul, the leaves are actually changing colors. You get outside, it's kind of fucking cold. It's like, wow, man.
December
reminds me of like Kansas,
colors,
you know, when I used to live out there, and it was like, man, this is actually I'm getting seasons in San Diego. Who would have thought that? It's pretty wild. But with the seasons brings a lot of business for butcher shops, for grocery stores, people, you know, making beautiful recipes and ribeyes and prime ribs and pismos and all that good stuff for a butcher shop. So we figure we might as well bring in one of the best, right?
Absolutely. I mean, this we were talking just before the podcast how, you know, just because of this podcast, it's forced us to go outside of things that we normally do, and it allows us to spend time with people that we admire from afar. And, you know, Heart and Trotter, we've been following your story. We've seen, you know, what you guys are doing, making an impact in San Diego, doing something that other people aren't doing. And to have James Holtslag here today with us, we're missing his business partner, Trey Nichols, who we know is expecting another baby. So congratulations to him and his family. I had my first baby when we were doing this podcast, and it's a journey, and we know all the pressures of having a family, but also running a business. So for you taking the time to come out here and to talk shop with Derek and myself, we really appreciate it. So welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm really glad to be here.
Yeah, well,
this should be fun.
Yeah, well,
yeah. Why don't you kind of dive in a little bit and kind of tell us how you got into an industry of the butcher shop? You know, because it's a thing for me. I did it because it's what we've been doing for 62 years. You know, my family, my grandpa came from Chicago and opened up this store. So, I mean, I guess my family's been doing it probably pretty close to 100 years. But what got you into it, man?
So I grew up on the East Coast, Virginia, in the country. So me and my dad, ever since I was probably about 4 years old, we'd go hunting and fishing. And we would always process the animals, utilize every part of the animal that we did. And I went to college, came out here, and started to realize that everyone was really disconnected from their meat source. We started asking people, where did you get your meat from? Everyone, it was either Vons or Costco or something like that. And we always kicked around the idea, Trey and I, of opening up a butcher shop. But at that point, we were just out of college and both kind of trying to figure out what we wanted to do for the rest of our lives, both in the corporate world. Trey still is, which isn't a bad thing. He sells medical equipment. Right. But let me see. I was doing project management for construction companies.
Nice.
And did that for several years. Wasn't a big fan. Basically, my job was just to yell at people all the time, and that's really
crack that whip.
Yeah, that's really not who I am. Anyway, so about 6 years ago, that's when the economy was really hurting. A lot of the construction started going down. And I was able to get laid off, which at the time I really wasn't sure how that was going to turn out, but it was a blessing. So I had unemployment. I was basically being paid for the next year to go and find something that I really enjoyed. And so it was at that point that I went to my friends and family and was like, "Hey guys, let's do something. This is something that we're all really passionate about, and there's nobody in San Diego that does this." So from there, we started getting money and putting together the business plan, all that fun stuff, everything that comes with owning a business, and started researching farms, talking to as many people as we could, from butcher shops here all the way over to New York. And we just absorbed it like a sponge. And then we started doing a CSA type program.
Right.
That was the first thing. We set up some freezers and a couple different produce markets and gyms, and that was really big with like the gym crowds. So we started getting some revenue and started looking for a brick and mortar, and we decided that North Park was the spot for us.
Yeah, it was a kind of up and coming spot, right?
Yeah.
North Park, and kind of more of a little, I mean, I don't want to say trendy in a bad way, but it's more of a trending place.
It
And
definitely is.
for sure. So what made you go out? Did you go to these different farms? Did you go out and see them? For me, so what we do here is a little bit different than what you do. So I do buy subprimal. We used to buy whole sides my whole life. But now I go out to all my farms. So I only get stuff from Greater Omaha. So I go out there. I just met with Henry 2 months ago, and being able to see the process, because like you said, a lot of people are getting their meat and it's all commodity beef, right? You're getting IVP, National, all this stuff where they're buying lots. They don't care if it's Holstein, Brahma, Angus, Hereford. It doesn't matter. They're just bringing in whatever, cheapest price. As long as it grades choice, they don't give a shit, right? Yep. They're like, oh, it's antibiotic free. Well, it's not eating antibiotics, but they're still putting it in the ear. They're still doing those little tricks that people don't understand.
Yep.
What made you choose your farms that you have?
That's one of the biggest and hardest things that we did. First of all, we had to find the farms, which took a lot of research, years. And once we did, yes, we would go out and inspect and see what they were doing, how the whole thing worked, the whole process from raising animals to the slaughterhouse. And that was not only a good thing as far as making sure they are doing what they say that they're doing, but we were also learning at the same time.
Yeah.
And so you learn a lot going out there and seeing the whole process. And a lot of our ranchers were fairly new to it also when we first started.
How big were their cattle lots? Were they raising 10s and 20s, or were they raising hundreds and thousands? Like, how big were they?
It was in like the 50 to 75
Okay.
range, yeah.
And what kind of cattle was it?
Those were I don't even remember what we started off on. We have a different cattle rancher now. We started off on a really small farm that went out of business.
Okay.
How far away are we talking about?
They were in close to Ventura.
Okay.
Yeah.
I bet you it was Holstein then.
It was a different breed. It was a European breed.
Charlet?
But
It wasn't Charlet.
no. I don't remember.
There was a short-legged Angus that comes from England. That could have been a short-legged Angus.
Yeah, it wasn't an Angus either. But anyway, so now we use an Angus cross that's up in just south of the Bay Area.
Yeah.
For the 100% grass-fed stuff.
So grass-fed, grass-finished. Mm-hmm. They slaughter, they do everything, and then you guys get it sides, or how do you guys get it subprimal?
Quarters.
Quarters?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so we'll, depending on the part of the year.
Can you explain kind of what a quarter is to people that are listening, so they understand, how a quarter comes? Because I bet you a lot of people have never seen a quarter of anything.
Yeah, we invite people back into our walk-in all the time just to see it, and it usually blows their mind. But a quarter of a cow, you're looking at about 150 pounds of meat, and basically it's from the rib section up to the shoulder, and then the final rib down to the round is going to be the hind. But yeah, so that's how we get them, break them down, and put them in the case.
So I've always, for doing it, been kind of nervous about doing that because a lot of people, I mean, let's be honest, you're gonna buy a lot more of your loin cuts than you are going to be with your chucks and rounds. Mm-hmm. So how do you go through the process of, do you have to buy any extra exports for the holidays and stuff like that? Because you can't just bring in all quarters, right? Because if you had to sell, I don't know, a couple hundred exports, and you don't want a couple hundred rounds, right? Because I mean, what are you going to do with a couple hundred rounds?
Yeah, so we get extras. Okay. So I just tell my rancher, okay, this is how many that we're expecting to sell, and so he'll put those aside as we go,
right,
and then go from there. So it's a big process as far as his animal management, and then going from there, but. Yeah, it's a lot more complicated than most people think.
No, it is, because I mean, one of the biggest things you have to make sure is waste, right? What are you going to do with your waste? And I see you guys are doing a lot of sausages and doing different stuff, which, and I say waste in the most beautiful way, because it's not waste. It's, just how do you get. It has to come in the back door and it has to go out the front door. And if you pay for it in the back door, you have to make sure it goes out in the front door being paid for. So, is there any creative things that you guys are doing to do besides sausages?
Yeah, we're always trying to figure out different ways to utilize all the little parts and pieces. Mm-hmm. One being, we have marketed those specific cuts, something like the faux hanger, which is only a couple pounds per animal, mm-hmm. And then everything from, we make all of our own charcuterie. So all of the deli meats that we make we make in-house. And so everything from hot dogs to bologna, salami cotto, let me see, mortadella. We make a 100% grass-fed roast beef. Let me see, beef bacon, pork bacon. Kind of going through the list here, and list goes on. So,
do you guys do anything for beef jerky? Because I'll tell you, some of my biggest, so my inside top round after I take the cap off, that center muscle is probably, we sell more beef jerky sliced out of that than anything else. So if you ever need to get rid of some stuff like that, just tell them, jerky meat, and we sell. God, I probably 250 to 400 pounds a week of just jerky meat that we slice up. Yeah. So it's just people, like, once they get it, they're like, man, we're getting, USDA prime stuff, and it's actually really, really good stuff. After we smoke ours, but some people dehydrate it, whatever they want to do. Mm-hmm. But it's also probably a good way to get rid of those rounds that people aren't buying or whatever.
Yeah. A lot of the rounds go into burger meat,
right.
But beef jerky is definitely something that we don't do right now, but we've been playing with it, and that's what I've been trying to figure out as far as smoking it and coming up with all of our recipes and all that fun stuff. But yeah, that's crazy. You guys got to do a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a process, because all the trimming you're taking off that too. We actually put that in our grind as well. And then once you kind of spoil someone with just that center cut, they just want to keep coming back and just taking that center cut. So, yeah, like you said, it's kind of that cat and mouse game. You got to figure out, what works best and where you can monetize that stuff. But, and then the chuck. I mean, what are you guys doing with the chuck besides grinding? Roasts?
Just pretty much roasts. We'll do chuck steaks also, and just tenderize them. And then
flat irons out of the gloat, mm-hmm. and...
Yep. Let me see. There's other parts and pieces that we definitely have tried to sell, and they just don't sell. Things like the Scotch tender, And let's see what else. Some of the like sirloin tips don't really sell.
They don't. They used to a lot. We used
Yeah.
to sell the shit out of sirloin tips, and I can't sell it to save my life right now.
No, so we'll actually take those and slice them really thin and just make a marinated like carne asada out of it,
Right.
and go from there. But yeah, you're constantly trying to figure out what the customer wants and see what works.
Yeah.
We can go from
Can
there.
you talk a little bit about the process of, I mean, I think what's really cool is the process you went through to learn how to be, I mean, you know, obviously with your dad and hunting in the beginning, but, you know, did you go to school for business?
Yeah.
You did. So you went to school for business, but you had this burning desire to open up, you know, a butchery. So what was your process like to learn the skills that you acquired?
So I did a apprenticeship at a little butcher shop up in LA called Lindy Grundy. They were really popular when they were open. They've closed since a couple of years ago.
Do you know why they closed?
I believe there was I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I have no clue. But I was an apprentice up there, and so
Just
Erica.
paid, you paid to be an
I
apprentice?
paid, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And so I knew at that point that I wanted to open up a butcher shop down here, and I didn't want to just go to like Costco or go to any supermarket and learn from there. So I contacted them. They contacted me back. It was kind of like a perfect storm situation, and I was able to get an apprenticeship with them within a month or so of me contacting them.
Was this
first.
something that they did regularly, or just you proposed the idea to them?
I was their second or third, I think.
How'd you hear about it, or did you just research and find
Yeah,
out?
just researched butcher shops.
Yeah.
A couple of my chef friends did a little bit of researching for me too, and one of our good friends, Alex Lira, that just won best chef in Charleston. Actually, he found these guys and sent us a link, and then we checked it out and called them and went from there. So I was working every day for about 12 hours, just breaking down animals until it was
Check arms and just doing all that stuff that no
Yeah.
one else wants to do.
yeah, basically. I mean, I think the first 3 days I was there, all I did was debone lamb necks.
Yeah.
And it was great. It was good. That's how I really honed in my knife skills and learned to hold a knife and cut like a murderer.
Right.
And then went from there. So I started off with lamb, and then moved to pork, and then moved to beef. Beef is definitely the most difficult, not only because of the size and the weight, but there's a lot of different muscles that are isolated that are really good too. So I learned the process of taking basically each muscle off layer by layer.
Isn't it crazy too? Because I don't think people understand. Like you get a top sirloin, people don't understand. There's 3 muscles in that top sirloin. You know, you got the culotte, then you got your little base. I mean, there's 3 muscles, and you're like, oh, I mean, you can cut it as one and have a steak, and it'll still eat fine. You know, but there's actually 3 muscles, and a lot of them they go different ways.
Yep.
And that culotte in the bottom is probably one of my favorite. You know, if it's done right and taking that cap off. And I know the Brazilians use it a lot for pancada. I think that's what it's called. They put it on a skewer. But for you as a hunter, do you guys, it was whitetail out there?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you do a lot of whitetail. I did a lot of that in Kansas, and just learning the anatomy of you know the animal, I bet helped a lot, because you're probably a step above what they're used to getting for apprentice, and you're like, well, okay, well, I know where that's at, or you know where to break at least, you know, for a little bit. That's probably helped them out at up in LA.
Yeah, they definitely did. They were really excited after I kind of got my bearings there, and they were getting free labor. Well,
Sure.
I was paying them for labor.
That's a good deal. That's a good deal for them. I need to look into that.
Yeah, for sure.
That'll help me out a lot
does
with my
that, right?
payroll. I know.
Who does that? Who just says, okay, here, let me pay you. I want to
Yeah.
come learn from you. That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's kudos to you that wanting to take the initiative to go do that. Sean and I talk about it a lot. And it's not sexy. It's not, it's a lot of work, but it's like, here's my end goal. Here's what I want. I want to get that brick and mortar. I want to do stuff, and I don't want to go in there blind, not knowing. If someone says, hey, can you take the musk gland out of the lamb leg? And you're like, no fucking idea what the musk gland is. You got to take that shit out before it gets gamey. People don't understand those little things are big things. Mm-hmm. And when you can talk to them and teach your consumer, right, they become more vested in you. Because you're teaching them, like, hey, here's what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to do this. I'm going to take the hip bone out. I'm just going to leave one bone in there. I'm going to fold everything up, take the musk gland out for you. And they're like, the hell is that? But they're like, they love watching it. They love seeing it and what's going on.
Yeah.
They become so much more vested in wanting to be a part of what you're creating. I think what you're doing is amazing.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. That was the biggest thing that we wanted to do when we were in the process of designing our store, is have the butcher block not behind a door but right there in front, so people can come and look and watch. And you'd be surprised how many people bring their kids in and they just watch the whole process.
Right.
And it's your mission statement, right? Transparency, which Derek and I, we absolutely love, is you bring people into the journey, into the process. And we noticed that you put on those cooking classes, and you do that with full intent to continue to educate the consumer. Yeah,
that's a big part of what we do. Every new customer that comes in, it's almost like a 5 to 10 minute conversation of what we do, why we do it, and the pricing. Good meat is expensive.
And then you're allowing yourself to be vulnerable, which is hard, because you're out there and you're saying, here I am, here's what I'm doing, I'm breaking this down. I mean, 90% of people wouldn't know if you missed somewhere, cut into a different muscle, but it's you're putting yourself out there, and when you do miss and you cut into something else and you're trying to create a steak out of it, you're fucked, right? You have a big, I'm sure you've learned from your mistakes and done stuff, but it's not easy. The reason why people don't break down cattle as much as they used to is because it's fucking hard. Mm-hmm. And it's not, like we said, doing those chuck arms, getting a West Coast chuck out of it. It's like, dude, just give me the fucking roll. All I want is a fucking chuck roll, or give me a claw to boneless so I can just cut them in and do a butcher knot and tie them into roasts. It's a lot harder to do everything else. But I think, what Sean's saying, it's the story. It's you're sharing the story behind it and educating your consumer.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's one of the reasons that we have been successful and can sell the meat that at the prices that we do, is a lot of it is the story.
Sure.
And so the story of the ranchers, everything from where they were raised to slaughtered and then straight down to us. It's really difficult. It's really labor intensive. And especially for me, a quarter weighs about as much as I do too. Right. So you could imagine that. But,
wrestling it around.
Yeah. But no, it's great. It always makes me happy when people bring in their family in to take pictures. We're totally open as far as that goes. I don't know how many people have gone into our walk-in next to the hanging pigs and the quarters and took pictures of themselves or with us or whatever. But once they do that, they're pretty much hooked. So.
And what are you doing for your pigs? Same type of concept with the beef and different farm, same farm?
Different farm. It's from Cook Pigs Ranch. They were down here in Julian for a long time, and then now they just partnered up with another ranch up in Santa Rosa where all those fires hit, but it didn't affect them. They personally bring down their I get a couple a week, and we just load them off their truck and goes right into our walk-in. Then we process it from there. So so we get all the organ meats and the cull fat and all that fun stuff, along with the heads too, and we'll process them, make head cheese, make scrapple.
Dude, head cheese and scrapple. People probably don't even know what that is out here. It's wild.
There's
breakfast. Scrapple's. We've actually been selling quite a bit of it lately.
Yeah.
And head cheese. I mean, I think people would probably out here like throw up if they really knew what goes in. Have you had head cheese?
I'm sure my Bulgarian heritage. I'm sure that they're down with the head cheese.
Well, tell them what goes in head
they
cheese.
eat every part of the animal.
Yeah,
there's no waste. Like we went on a fishing trip with my wife and my father-in-law and my brother-in-law, and we went deep sea fishing. Caught a bunch of amazing fish, and then they were cutting it up on the boat, and he was like, "What the fuck are they doing? What are they doing with all that?" It's like, "Oh, people don't want to take that home." He's like, "I'll fucking take it home." Are you guys crazy? And it's like it's a completely different mentality.
Yeah.
It's completely different when you start to understand that there are certain, you can utilize different parts of animals, and actually there's things that you can make with them.
Yeah. Yeah, that are absolutely delicious. I mean, a lot of people will shy away. Like we'll do a smoked blood sausage that is just amazing. And then anytime, well, not everybody, but a lot of people will freak out because it's actually blood. And head cheese and scrapples and stuff like that. But they're delicious. It's absolutely amazing. You just got to try it. We even do like haggis and stuff like that for people. And I hadn't even tried that until about 2 or 3 years ago, and you just hear the horror stories of how horrible haggis is, but it's actually really good.
Yeah. There's some head cheese up there, Sean, if you've ever had that.
Yeah.
That's a no. Yeah,
it's like the south. It's really, really big in the south and east. It's not so big out here west.
Yeah, if you get it normally processed, like out of the supermarket, ours is a lot different. I'm not a big fan of really gelatinous product.
That's what a lot of them are too.
Yeah, and it's a little different. A lot of those guys actually use gelatin and stuff like that. We don't. We just use the natural gelatin that comes from the animals, the bones, the trotters, all that stuff. And so it's a lot different when you put it in your mouth and all that gelatin just melts instead of being bouncy and chewy and weird.
Yeah.
But so that's a great part of what we do.
Anybody that's listening, we work really hard. We have Layla and Corey. They work really hard on the show notes to put any links or anything that we're talking about into those show notes as a resource for you. So you can go and learn more about Heart and Trotter and their cooking classes and stuff like that. So be sure to check that out. I'm very curious about the Kickstarter campaign because we do have people that want to open up a business. They're looking at finding investors, pitching friends, family. But you successfully raised money on Kickstarter. And if you could tell us kind of what was successful and what to do and what not to do.
And would you do it again?
Correct. Because when you take someone's money as an investment, there are a lot of things that need to be discussed that people typically don't discuss, contracts that need to be made that typically don't get made. And it can ruin family relationships. It can ruin friendships. And, one of the biggest things, you do when you're as an entrepreneur is you are your word. If I say that I'm going to do something and I don't do it, then that's going to eventually catch up to me.
Yeah.
And, it's going to start with raising the money to start this business.
Yeah. Sure. Sean brings up a great point. We need to know, because I haven't ever done a Kickstarter, but like, what are the pros and cons of it, for people listening?
So the biggest pro, I would say, would be the marketing aspect of it. Just getting your name out, and whether people give you money or not.
You're sharing your story.
Yeah, exactly. And especially to a local market and local neighborhoods and stuff like that, they hear about it, they see your logo, and they remember you after you open up. And so Kickstarter was a pain in the ass.
We like honesty. Give it to us.
It was fucking horrible.
Did I get my name on the wall for $5?
Yeah.
Can I put Derek's name on the wall also?
Yeah.
For $2.50?
Yeah.
And my dog for 50 cents?
Yeah. So the trickiest part is really coming up with a list of I guess not pledges. And so we started off from everything from $5 up to I think like $600 or something like that. $750, $850.
1,600.
I think you had a 10,000.
10,000?
Yeah, 10,000.
You had one backer at 10,000?
I love it.
That was probably one of us.
You definitely paid for that.
Yeah.
That's totally cool with us.
And so that's one of the tricky parts to Kickstarter. If you don't reach your goal within that amount of time, then you don't get any of the money.
Oh, is that right?
Seriously?
I had no idea about that.
I didn't know that
and
either.
So
how long can you use it for? I mean,
it's anywhere from 1 month to 2 months. That's as long as you can go to actually raise the money.
They keep the money if you don't raise enough?
No, it just goes back to
it goes back to the
whoever pledged.
Because you're pledging a service or a product, correct?
Yeah.
And what was the most successful thing that you pledged?
So definitely like T-shirts. We had everybody that pledged for us, their name got written on the wall.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's cool. That's that works for nonprofits all the time. It works for stadiums. Getting your name somewhere, you're getting recognition for being a part of the story.
$8,000 from the $100 one, right? Nice.
Yeah. The meat TSA was a really good one. Let me see. The brunch with the butchers, that went pretty quick. That was just at Tornado.
I guess being in North Park, you have to, indulge in the beer industry too, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. We do a lot of events, especially at Tornado, but we do butcher demos.
Cross promotional events.
Yeah.
How's that been with the health department?
They don't know.
Yeah.
What health department?
Right. No, they've been a fucking thorn in our side for a long time. Sean and I we just talked about it earlier today. We're going to have a meeting with them about the different events that we do and stuff. And it's like, man, you guys keep trying to nickel and dime us, and you're supposed to be helping us.
Yeah.
And you're supposed to be educating, and you're supposed to be doing all these things that you're not. You're just fucking with your hands out wanting money and fees. And it's not a good relationship. It doesn't work for everybody. And I mean, at the end of the day, I think they can probably say, fuck you, but it's like, okay, well then we'll play the game as well.
Well, you have to be willing to have the tough conversation, and globally looking at, we can't just look at the Del Mar Barbecue Championship as one event, because we're partners with Del Mar Thoroughbred Club. They do so much for us to put on that event, and they put on all kinds of food events throughout their summer racing season as well as their winter racing season. And different organizers go in there and they have the same challenges that we do, and like it really shouldn't be an adversarial relationship, because as organizers, we're trying to get more people to participate in these events, trying to bring in other, restaurant owners, other caterers, other butcher shops, because we want them to promote their business. If it's a successful event, everybody wins. But when there's a piece that's missing, a conversation needs to be had, and sometimes it's an uncomfortable conversation.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I talk to the health department quite often. Anytime that we are gonna do something that I'm not really sure what to do, I found that's the easiest way to kind of bridge that relationship and tell them, okay, we have this coming up.
Is this for like an event that you're doing in-house?
No, like outdoors or
outside,
something like that. Yeah. And then what do you guys need? What do you need from us? What should we do? How should we set it up?
Yeah.
And they're usually pretty, at least the people that I've talked to.
Good for you, because they
are pretty
suck
good
for us.
Are they charging you a fee, like a permit fee for any of that stuff?
Not that we've had to pay.
Okay.
No. But most of them, I'm assuming that the organizers pay.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And we're usually just like a guest. But yeah, we do the butcher demos quite often. Those are really fun, especially in a drinking environment.
Sure.
People start to get a little loose, and then we'll actually come up and ask questions.
Right? You need engagement.
Yeah.
It makes it more fun, makes the time fly by, and especially it's exciting when you can teach someone about what's going on.
Yeah, and a lot of times we'll just we'll either sample out some of the stuff or even sell it to the crowd, and so people are always really excited whenever they see an animal go from a animal to meat. And,
Sure.
So that's always really fun.
I think, part of the podcast is behind the smoke, but what's really engaging for people is when you peel back the layers of why people are doing things in business, and especially in a butcher shop, in a restaurant, there's these huge corporations that they're everything they do is to protect what they do. And now we live in a world where we want to learn, and we're active and we're engaged. And like when you go to and put on a demonstration like that, and you're revealing, hey, I care about every single part of this process. Our team here, this is intent. Like we care deeply, and I want you to know so that you understand. This is our process, and this is what we love to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we do that all the time, and it's something that I'd really like to do. Is we'll get requests from elementary schools, high schools, stuff like that a teacher will want to bring in their students
That's cool.
to come in and watch. And so I'll just go in early and do like a little demonstration and talk to them about what we do and why we do it, and go from there. So that's really neat to start to have an impact on people when they're young, and so they can carry that through life.
Yeah, I think
hopefully.
Just like we're talking about, that engagement really helps out. I know we've been, we struggled a little bit with growth because we've been, trying so hard to engage everyone, and then growing so much and getting bigger coolers and getting, it's hard. It's hard to figure out how to grow and how to grow the right way and steadily. With you guys, I'd imagine the growth has been pretty good the whole way. Yeah,
It's been all right. Let me see. Last year was better than this year. This year's slowed down a little bit, but we're constantly doing new stuff, expanding. We're putting in a produce section. We're going to start doing fish and start to do sushi.
Who are you going to work with produce?
I'm not sure yet.
If I could suggest anything, because I'm going through a whole new renovation for my produce here, Melissa's Produce. There's a guy named Dale. I'll give you his number.
Okay.
He's just been one of the best guys I've ever worked with. That's just a no bullshit kind of guy, because everyone's a fucking salesman and everyone's trying to sell you this and trying to just get product in your store, and they don't care if it sells or not. With Dale and Melissa's Produce, it's actually been like a relationship. Like,
nice.
He wants me to succeed. He's telling me new innovative ways to display things, how to show it. So for the last 40 years, we probably sucked at produce and just kind of being so big on expanding our craft beers and our meats and our groceries and bringing in the cool stuff like Yetis and, all that stuff, which is great. I feel like we've kind of missed the boat on produce.
Yeah.
And now with them partnering, he's kind of like teaching me, because it's kind of, it used to be like my uncle's thing who used to do it. And now it's like, okay, let's give it a shot. And yeah, I'm nervous about it because it's a pretty big renovation that I'm paying for to get it the way I want it. But I think the consumer's really going to appreciate it. And like we said, because they know I'm caring, and I'm going to care about it. I'm going to do it. It's going to be a ton of organic stuff. a lot of prepackaged stuff, like stir fry mixes and stuff that we're going to cut up here so people can just come in and get it. They don't have to chop everything up themselves.
Sure.
Things like that, I think are going to be,
No,
awesome.
that's perfect. I'd appreciate that.
Yeah. Cause like the big commodity stores, like, or places like, Co Citrus and, some of these other places, Charlie's, they're great, but they just don't fucking care. And you're a small guy. I'm a small guy.
Yeah.
Like we don't have these big footprints. So
Definitely.
like I said, Melissa's, they care.
Yeah, those relationships with the ranchers, the farmers, are as important to us as the relationships with our customers. I have all of my ranchers' personal cell phones and talk to them on a weekly basis to see how everything's going, see what they're doing, and then placing orders and all that fun stuff too. But yeah, it wouldn't be any different with produce. I would like that.
Yeah, I mean, because there are a lot of places out here that do have, the guys that have their lemon trees and stuff like that will sell to you, and it just gets a little sketchy sometimes. So you just have to be kind of careful with some of that, and But like I said, man, Melissa's, they've just been so great to me and my store that if they can be a help to you. Like I said, Dale's the man. I'll definitely hook you up with his number and stuff. Okay. So what else is what's on the horizon? What do we got going, man?
So, like I just mentioned, we are looking to expand into fish, and we just started doing sushi classes. And
cool.
My main butcher when I'm up there is he's a ex sushi chef.
Cool.
So he's
What's his
really
name?
good at it. Diego, nice.
And
so he's constantly pushing for us to start doing sushi and stuff, and we are looking at pricing, doing all that stuff now, and
like sushi to order or sushi ready to pick up?
Sushi to order and pick up. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So
you're a brave man. How big's your place right now?
It's about 1,500 square feet. Yeah, it's tight.
How many?
It's about to get tighter, especially with fish, man. We have a little block here at the store, and it's like, fuck it. No question about it, and I'll be 100% transparent. Fish is my biggest growing area, like no question about it. You do fish right and get sustainable, wild caught, good quality fish, and go through it fast enough to where it's always fresh. You'll kill it, man. It's good.
That's what we're hoping. So and then we have Diego. Like I said, he knows a lot about it, and he's teaching me as we go through this process. So I was teaching him how to butcher whole animal, and he's teaching me the other end, the fish side of it. So that's pretty fun. But let me see. Other than that, we're expanding the produce. Right now, we really don't have any chilled produce or anything in there. Just like potatoes, onions. But we're going to expand that, and then we really want to start to make it more of a shop like this. Obviously, we don't have a lot of space, but expand the dry grocery items, all that fun stuff too. So
don't be in a hurry to do that.
Yeah,
I'm in a hurry. I'm trying to get away from a lot of that.
Yeah,
I mean, not get away in the sense of I don't want to carry it, but I'm going to try to minimize what I have. I don't need so many SKUs. So, sounds similar to what you're wanting, but it's if I can minimize the SKUs, I don't need to have 4 different types of noodle soups or 4 different types of certain things. I just need to carry one. Kind of like the Trader Joe mentality. Just you carry one shredded cheese, one type of jack cheese, not 10 different varieties of it. But make sure that you're always taking care of what's making you your profit, because there's just not a ton of profit in grocery.
Yeah,
there's not. I mean, especially. I mean, I know it's one of those things that you want to add, something for your customers, so they don't have to go somewhere else. But if you aren't big enough to buy from a big company, the prices are going to be high. So you're going to be selling fucking ketchup for $6 a bottle, you know, when you can go down the street for $3. So
Yeah.
I mean, it'll be cool to have, but don't be in a rush to get it too fast.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about it. The produce is something that I'm excited about. A lot of our customers have been saying it for a while. They'll have to go to Vaughn's or go to another grocery store where they live after they come to us. And so we just want to expand that. Like I said, it's only 1,500 square feet, so we can't carry a lot of stuff.
Right.
But you know, just stuff that you can make a quick dinner.
Right.
Sure.
And then go from there.
So are you wanting to grow into multiple stores?
Yeah, we're always looking. We are looking up in North County.
Okay.
A lot of our customers come down from North County, Ramona, all those places,
Right.
and it's tough for them. We're looking at starting to ship also.
E-commerce. It's a hard thing, man.
It's all me.
Yeah,
Hard as fuck.
we're just scratching the surface on that, so I'm not too worried about it. But yeah, we would like to open up at least a satellite shop or something like that up in North County.
Yeah.
Just to get into that market. But again, it's not too big of a deal. Yeah, this is our third year, and we've survived this long, and we're just kind of at the cusp of paying off some of our loans and actually making something.
So what kind of stuff are you guys doing for marketing and social media? You can find them at San Diego Butcher for their social handles, and talk about some of the things that have been good and some of the things that you guys have, it's been tough for you.
Sure. Let me see. I think do people still use Twitter?
Yeah.
Dude, he's like Twitter king.
Are you?
I'm not Twitter king. I just think that everyone should be on Twitter. 'Cause you can get relationships. I mean, the media is on Twitter. So if you want, if you're worried about getting, news for your shop, that you guys are opening up a new shop, or you want to get on TV, or you want to get on radio or in magazines, all the writers, editors, all those people are on are on Twitter.
Yeah, so we use Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram. Those are the big three. And we're constantly taking pictures of stuff that we're doing in the shop. And any specials or burgers or something that we threw together, as far as like charcuterie and anything that's new and fun, we'll post it on all three of those. And then we have our weekly newsletter that goes out.
Email.
And so email. Sure. So we just kind of edit that depending on what's new or fun, or if we're doing an event or something like that.
You do sign-ups digitally through the email newsletter?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you guys use? Constant Contact or one of those?
Yeah, what is it? I'm not sure. I don't deal with it.
Do you guys do you have Wi-Fi in your shop for guests?
Yeah.
So we just switched over in our restaurant to a company called ZenReach, and it's actually like a rewards-based system. So when they log in the first time, we capture their email, but then we know every time that they've come to the store, and then it's been awesome. And it also helps us grow our email list, which is something I don't know if they have it on the retail side, but they do it for restaurants, and it's worked out great, especially if you're already offering Wi-Fi to your customers.
Yeah, that's a great idea. And unfortunately, or fortunately, however you look at it, I pass that stuff along to my partner and our marketing team, and then go from there. But I'm just too busy.
Yeah.
Shop itself.
Something that I thought about like 4 years ago that I thought would be a great idea, and it might be something good for you, is that go to where, if you want to look at a location, I was thinking about going to like some of these commodity stores that are just fucking killing it, or making, they're always busy, like go Ralph's, find out whatever Ralph's or Vaughn's or Walmart neighborhood markets are really busy, and see if they have any shops next to them, and then just open up a butcher shop right there. Because what happens is that these people will go to these grocery stores for cheap groceries, get what they want, and then they fucking have to go somewhere else. They'll have to come here for meat, or you to meat. But if you just had something right next to them, and they can just go right next door and you're basically capturing all their audience, and then you just open up right next to them and grab all that meat audience. I think that I honestly looked at doing that like 4 years ago. We just became too busy and we couldn't do it. But I think that'd be like a great little thing to be able to do and capitalize on all those people, that foot traffic going into these big grocery stores.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, you'd piss them off, but who cares?
Yeah, we thought about that in the beginning, and the place that we settled on was probably like fourth or fifth in line.
Yeah.
We just kept on, like, North Park was really buzzing. We were just getting outbid by everybody. And but our location where we are it's a good location. So
how long are what's your lease?
I was just going to ask that.
It's 10 years.
Oh, nice.
Oh, good.
Good for you. That's great.
Any extensions?
5 and 5.
Good for you.
Nice. Yeah. Did you work with somebody?
I had a broker.
There you go.
Yep. And
Smart.
it's the building was a weird old building. They went in and redid the whole thing. So
They gave you TI money, or they just did it?
yeah.
Yeah.
They gave me TI money, and then
It's tenant improvement money.
yep.
Yeah.
And then we just had a empty space, and so we had to build out the whole thing. But
Did it take longer than expected?
yes, of course.
It always does. And it costs more than,
Costs more than we
than you
thought.
budgeted for.
Yeah. It wasn't that far off from our budget, but it definitely took a long time. There was a lot of bullshit that we went through with the contractor and then the contractor and the owner of the building.
What kind of bullshit that people can try to avoid? Because it's, it's a common theme, for anybody that's opening up a business, or even if you're doing construction on your house, like there's certain things that you have to do to protect yourself.
Yeah, definitely. The biggest thing that we did is right off the bat, we got a really good business lawyer, and everything that we got from the contractor, from our the lease agreements, all that stuff just went through him first, and he pointed out any things that seemed mysterious. But there was a side contract with the owner of the building, and the owner of the building and the contractor got in a fight, and the contractor was fired, and so that affected our whole process.
Sure.
Them building out our place, and then they were asking for more money, and we were saying, no, you're not getting more money.
This is tenant improvement money, right? So this was the contractor per your lease agreement that was supposed to complete the work. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that gets sticky.
Sure. And so they were actually left the site for like a month, didn't do anything. And then finally, I pushed them hard enough to where they finished it up.
You pushed the contractor or the landlord?
Yeah, the contractor, contractor and the landlord. But that's a sticky situation. Anytime you're already fighting.
Kudos to you. I mean, because like what's happening between them has nothing to do with you. Like, you don't give a shit. You're like, I need to get this place open, so you guys can do whatever you want, but under my terms, under my agreement, I need help.
Yeah.
So figure it out. You guys figure it out yourself. Take care of my shop.
Yeah, they were acting like little kids basically, but it was a really good learning experience.
It's good that you had an attorney to lean on as well, because that you're always trying to save expenses in the beginning, and one of the most expensive things you do is hiring an attorney.
Yep.
But even if you have friends that are attorney, I mean, people were willing to help, and it's crazy if you don't get it on the contract, if you don't get the specifics, of whatever that construction project is, the scope of the work, when it's going to be delivered, when that payments are going to be made. Because if you don't hold money back and you're, just distributing money, that it'll be gone.
Yeah. It goes quick.
It'll be gone quick.
Fast. I mean, a lot faster than what you would imagine. You think like, oh, I got a good lump of change, and then, just one thing happens and it's fucking gone. It's gone and it ain't coming back. Mm-hmm. How'd you guys do on equipment? You guys just use Forstner knives? What knives are you using? What saws?
Let me see. We got a Butcher Boy, an old Butcher Boy saw.
Fucking love them, man. It's probably my favorite. Is it like an old B15 or 16 or?
It's a B. I think it's a B14.
Yeah.
What was that? 116-inch blades.
And they just run, and they're easy to work on.
Yeah,
like these new ones. I bought a new one years ago, and it was like every fucking 3 months I had Hobart coming out and like fixing something or doing something.
Really?
I was like. Really, like, I'm like, because I was telling my dad, I'm like, I'm fucking over this little saw. It isn't fucking, it's not as big and nice as these new ones. And he was like, son, we don't need anything bigger. I'm like, well, I'm going to get one. And I bought one. I'm like, fuck it. Like, just proving his point, I was like, God damn it. It's so fucking, they just go. They're true. Those Butcher Boys are just true. They just go. You can work on the motors. They're easy to work on. These fucking Hobarts, the new ones are a nightmare for me.
A pain in the butt, yeah. Ever since the beginning, those big ticket items, as far as equipment, I always chose to go American, and somebody that you can actually call and talk to if you have any questions, and that is a really big lesson that I learned, as compared to any of the Chinese equipment and stuff like that. You can't get parts, you can't talk to anybody about it. These guys, I just give them a call, and they either call me back or tell me what to do right there, and send out free samples. They check up on me every month, see how everything's going from there. So,
isn't it crazy that the bond that will develop when you buy something from someone that stands by their product? Gene has always recommended Old Hickory to us, and Old Hickory, they build their pits not to break. They build them for people to run their restaurant. And, no matter what, whenever we call, it doesn't matter when it is, they're there to help us because they stand by their product.
Yeah.
Conventional way, you think old business is, we're going to make a pit that's going to work for 4 years and then it's going to stop. So they buy us another pit, but no. They want us to keep. We're using the same pit that he was using when he was competing in barbecue championships. And, we have that loyalty to them because of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's awesome.
And knives?
Fortuners.
Yeah.
Let me see. About 90% of what we do is just with a 5-inch boning knife.
Yeah.
And I have a large collection of the rosewood handles. I just like those.
Yeah,
that's what I started on. That's what I've always been using. I've tried some of the ergonomic ones a couple times, and I didn't like it. But
it's a feel. And,
yeah.
And I always tell people, they're like, "What knives do you use?" I'm like, "Well, I use Forstner, but it has to feel good in your hand. My hands are different than everyone else's hands, so and it's the same. We talk about guns too. I mean, I ended up getting a 45 the other day, and I just had the guy put out the 5 that I was, thinking of. And I'm like, I'm going to close my eyes and you just put them in my hand. And whatever one feels the best is the one I'm going to go with.
Sure, yeah.
That's how it happened with knives. I mean, but again, I'm probably the same way as you. I've been doing it since I was a kid, and that's all I've ever used. It's just what feels natural to me.
Yeah, definitely. And they hold up great, keep an edge.
You guys hone your own stuff. You guys do sharpen your own stuff, and
we sharpen and hone in-house.
Yeah.
I teach everybody that comes in how to properly sharpen a knife. We don't use the services or anything like that.
How
I don't even think they exist anymore. We used to get those services.
They do.
They do?
Yeah. Greg's Sharpening in La Mesa.
Yeah.
He'll come out.
Yeah, we've definitely had some salesmen come in and ask. No.
Yeah. No, he does an okay job. When the bevel's getting down too bad and I don't have time to do it, I'll send mine. How many employees do you have?
Let's see, 4.
4?
Yep.
And that's they can all break down and do everything, or
no. That's a big thing when people want to come work. They all say, I want to learn how to break down an animal.
Okay. You want to be QB1?
Yeah.
You don't get to be QB1 first. You're going to be taking the pads out to the field and filling the water bottles.
That water. We talk about it.
We're taking the cones out. That's what's happening.
I came in here after I was playing football, playing in the NFL, doing my thing, and then came in. My dad's like, I actually was selling life insurance, and it just wasn't sitting well with me. I came in here, and Dad's like, hey, I want to get out of here sometime soon, so if you want to buy it, I'd like to retire. I'm like, okay. I come in, First thing I do is I pick up a knife, grab a lip on out of the case because we were low on the case, and I was going to go cut. He's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm going to cut, some ribeyes for the case." He's like, "No, you're not. That bathroom, it needs to be clean. You can go clean that bathroom." I'm like, son of a bitch.
Nice.
And then it was making the sauces for all of our things, and then it was dipping fucking pollo. We make pollo asada, and it's just like dipping the chicken leg meat. For months, and then learning how to make sausages and how to bone out a pork butt and how to do it efficiently where you're not, having so much, where your yield is good. And, all those little steps, like I tease, but it's like I fucking hated it, but I'm so happy I fucking did it.
Yeah. You have to. And that's what I do with my employees. Number one, they have to be personable and get used to talking to customers that come in and explaining what we're all about and how it works and all that stuff. And
your story.
And then from there, you're cleaning, you're putting together all the spice mixture recipes and all that stuff. And
how'd you come up with all that stuff?
Trial and error.
Yeah.
Just a lot of taste testing.
Yeah. R&D.
Yeah, it was, which isn't bad. So we're constantly kind of tweaking the recipes as we go. As of right now, we know which ones are perfect and keep them like that. But we're always trying something new, and everybody's got to taste it. Okay, what does it need? Does it need more salt? Does it need more heat? Something like that, and then we try it again and go from there. So,
how many prepared items do you guys have besides sausages? Do you guys do anything like marinated chicken, marinated lamb, like a Mediterranean style lamb?
So we are constantly changing and trying to see what works and what doesn't in that area. Lamb is a tough one for North Park. Anyway, to answer your question, so we do marinated like steak tips. We do carne asada, pollo asada, and
what cut are you using for carne?
Sirloin tip.
Yeah.
So, and then we have, of course, all of our charcuterie, and then we do sandwiches and all that stuff too. So, yeah.
What do you guys have coming up for the holidays, and how do you set your holiday hours? Because that's something that has evolved for us as a restaurant. Back when we had 18 employees, it was different. We were open 365, but are you guys open on Christmas and New Year's?
What we're going to do is what we've done in the past is actually close for that whole week in between Christmas and New Year's. I think we're going to stay open maybe a couple of the days before New Year's. A lot of people are looking for fillets and stuff like that for parties. I haven't really figured it out yet what I want to do, but we're definitely going to be open a couple of days.
I think you're spot on. I'd recommend that because what we find is that after everyone gets their prime ribs for Christmas, a lot of them are done with that, but they still have family in town that's staying and they want to do something nice for them, so they'll come in and get a fillet or come in and get something. We are finding the day after Thanksgiving's been historically the slowest day of the year for us, and this year it was just slammed, and it was just people just coming in like they're done with turkey. They don't want to fucking see a turkey anymore, and they're like, we still have this family in town, and they're not fucking leaving for like 3 more days. So what can we come and get? So they're getting the carne asadas, the like you said, fillets, just to kind of feed them, and so they didn't have to eat turkey anymore. I was like, we staffed really, really light, and we got our asses kicked. That Friday and Saturday, because usually they're pretty slow, and we got annihilated. I came in Thanksgiving morning, and even Thanksgiving was busy. Usually when it's people just kind of picking up turkeys, and I was so surprised I had to stay till almost 2:00. Just doing stuff, and
Yeah, we kind of saw that too. It was the week after is usually pretty slow for us, but it was pretty busy. That's funny you say that.
Yeah, it was like I said, we actually got our ass kicked. We had to take, after every holiday for our manager meetings, I sit down and tell everyone to write me a recap on what we did good and what we can do better. And everyone was basically like, "Hey, staffing, we need more staff on these days because we're chasing our tails trying to get shit, and sometimes our cases look like shit if we're out of beer and we don't have a person that's coming in to stock up all the beers, and people are just kind of running around. Looks like there's holes everywhere, but we actually have the product, but we just don't have the person to put it out.
Yeah, it's tough to balance and figure out. Some days or some years, like that week will be really slow, and so we remember that the next year. Okay, this is going to be a slow week, and then we're slammed, and we're just like, what's the difference?
Lists. Make sure you write it all down. That's something Sean's helped me out with a lot, is making sure that I write everything down, and now I'm putting that onto my employees and stuff. It's like, I think last year and this is what I used to do all the time. Like last year, I think we were pretty busy on this day, and I'm like, why don't I have a journal? Why don't I have just a log where I know exactly
in the cloud,
what we did?
Preferably.
Yeah.
Google Doc or Google Spreadsheet. Yeah. We joke around about it, but literally getting that stuff digitally is the most important thing, whether you're using Evernote or something. When you open a business, you don't have any historical data to go off. You're just looking in the crystal ball and you're like, shit, it feels like it's going to be busy. Maybe we should staff up. But, the more that we go back, now that we've been in business, and go back and look at that historical data, that we can go, shit, it's slow. We need to staff down. Like, we really need to staff down, or we need to find marketing ways to find, ways to get people to come in. Sure. And, for us, we Derek and I really appreciate you taking the time, to come here and come behind the smoke, tell us your journey. We want everybody that's listening to follow at San Diego Butcher, interact on Twitter, on Instagram. One of the coolest things from doing this podcast is people are sharing their journey, the butcher shops that they own, whether it's in Australia or Norway or Los Angeles or San Francisco, Philly, Texas, doesn't really matter. If you're doing your thing and you're enjoying the podcast, we really appreciate it. And it's an honor for us to, sit down and bullshit with you for a little bit.
Yeah, have you come in and being transparent. It's cool, and it's cool to talk to someone else that understands breaking down meat. It's a rare breed nowadays. People don't understand it anymore.
Yeah, definitely. I like to say thanks to you guys for letting me come on. And we do have more handles. The Heart and Trotter, at the Heart and Trotter on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram too. So we're always posting new and fun stuff on all of those. And no, we love it. If anybody ever has any questions, if they want to open up their own butcher shop, if they want to want a job. We're always
or if
open.
they want to pay you to
Pay
come
you
work.
to be an apprentice, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to get you out to. We do cooking classes too, and we break down stuff and we show them where stuff's coming from. So we'll invite you out to the next one.
That would be awesome.
Cool.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Thank you for coming behind the smoke, everybody. If you take the time to write us a review on iTunes, we appreciate that. And hopefully everyone has a kick-ass holiday. Send us your photos.
Get your export ribs. Order them.
Thanks, my man.
No, bro.
Behind the smoke.